If you don't know what a creepypasta is, it's a fictional horror series or legends that are shared widely across the internet, primarily through forums, social media, and dedicated websites. So today, I'm going to talk about my favorite creepypastas. This is my top 10 favorite creepypasta list. This is a classic creepypasta that tells the story of an infamously lost haunted Disney resort known as Mowgli's Palace. According to the story, Disney once built a grand theme park located in North Carolina that was themed after the Jungle Book. However, for unknown reasons, nobody knows, the park was abandoned before it could even open to the public. The place was left to rot, with rumors forming about weird things that were happening inside the overgrown ruins. The story starts with a curious urban explorer who decides to visit the site after reading about it online. After arriving, he found the place almost engulfed by nature. The signs are faded, buildings are falling apart, and creepy mascots that were painted on the wall were peeling and weather-beaten. There are weird details everywhere, such as warning signs saying, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here." The explorer describes the eerie quiet, noticing how the place feels wrong, as if the happiness Disney parks are supposed to have been absorbed and replaced by something creepier. As he explores deeper, our narrator finds strange evidence that employees, and maybe even guests, have left in a hurry. There were half-finished meals, abandoned offices, and, in one spot, an old mascot costume that looked like it's been torn apart. In the main palace building, things got even creepier. The explorer discovers a locked door labeled Character Preparation Room. Inside, he finds rows of mascot costumes in various stages of decay, with some even having their heads removed or slashed open. The air is thick with the smell of mildew and something else that was rotten. What really pushes the story into nightmare territory is the encounter with a mascot that really shouldn't be there. A version of Mickey Mouse called Mascot Mickey, whose costume's completely wrong. Its colors are off and the eyes are hollow. Photo-negative Mickey, as it's commonly called. Once the narrator walks up to it, the mascot's head falls off and a thick yellowish fluid pours out. It then stands up and says the most infamous line,
"Want to see my head come off?"
Terrified, he, understandably, nopes right out of the park, but not before seeing a very disturbing message inside the room that said, "Abandoned by Disney," scratched into the wall. The Russian sleep experiment is known as one of the most disturbing creepypastas around. While recording this script, I had to remind myself that none of this is real because of how horrible it is. The Russian sleep experiment is set in the 1940s during the Cold War era. It tells of a group of Russian researchers who claim to have developed an experimental sleeping inhibiting gas. And in order to test its effect, they sealed 5 political prisoners in an airtight chamber and promised them freedom if they could stay awake for 30 days straight. The chamber they were locked in was stocked with books, cots to sleep on, but no bedding, as well as running water, a toilet, and enough dried food to last all 5 of them for over a month. At first, the prisoners were acting normally, but after a few days without sleep, their behavior starts changing. They become increasingly paranoid and stop talking to each other. As days goes on, the situation spirals out of control. The prisoners start to scream, rip out pages of books to cover up the one-way mirror, and one even rips his own vocal cords out. Yikes. The researchers, who were understandably shocked at what's happening, continue observing, refusing to open the chamber. By day 15, the chamber is eerily quiet, and when the researchers finally open the doors, they discover a scene of unspeakable horror. The prisoners have mutilated themselves and each other. Organs exposed, flesh torn off, and wounds stuffed with whatever they could find. Despite their horrific injuries, though, the surviving prisoners begged to stay awake, terrified of falling asleep. They displayed unnatural strength, resistance to sedatives while being operated on, and a very disturbing detachment to pain, as if the gas had awakened something deep within them. The experiment finishes up in chaos and death. The last survivor, who didn't die from falling asleep, was asked what he was. The survivor, in a chilling tone, replied,
Have you forgotten so easily? We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from your beds every night. We're what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go into a nocturnal haven where we cannot tread.
The researcher, who was locked in with the remaining survivors, paused and then aimed his gun at the subject's heart and fired. The subject managed to choke out before dying.
So nearly free.
The rake is one of the most unsettling and mysterious creatures. This legend started circulating around the internet in the early 2000s after a series of forum posts and stories talked about a strange, pale humanoid entity that stalked and tormented people, mostly at night. With its descriptions such as chilling, gaunt, long claw-like fingers, and empty hollowed eyes, people have named it the rake. It's mostly seen crawling or even lurking at the edge of a person's vision. Sometimes it'll even sit at the foot of their beds as they wake up. Talk about nightmare fuel. One of the most talked about versions of the story is told through a collection of supposed eyewitness accounts. The most talked about comes from a woman who says she woke up in the middle of the night to find the rake crouched at the end of her bed, staring at her with its black, soulless eyes. She couldn't scream or even move since she was paralyzed with fear. That event left her traumatized, understandably. Other stories tell of the rake attacking people, leaving them scarred emotionally and physically, which caused bizarre deaths and disappearances. What makes the rake so creepy is that the stories are told almost like some found footage or real-life references, which blur the lines between reality and fiction. This creature is often described not only as smart, but just as evil, as if it thrives on fear. Jeff the Killer is one of the most notorious figures in creepypasta history. Regardless how y'all feel about this story, we can all recognize that pale face, haunting smile, and his chilling phrase,
"Go to sleep."
The story begins with a normal teenage Jeff and his family moving into their new town. At first, Jeff is just a normal average kid who has a run-in with the local bullies, unfortunately, which caused something inside him to change. When Jeff and his brother were attacked by bullies, Jeff ended up defending him with unpremeditated force, leaving them badly injured. That incident set off a chain reaction. As revenge, the bullies ambushed Jeff at a birthday party by dousing him in bleach, then setting him ablaze, which left him deformed. Thankfully, Jeff does survive, but once he saw his own reflection, with his ghostly white eyelids burned off, he snaps. Jeff's mind breaks, and he became obsessed with his new look, while refusing to let anyone stand in his way. The terror escalates that night when Jeff's mom found him mutilating his face, trying to make his smile permanent. After seeing how far gone her son was, his mom tried calling for help, but Jeff ended up unaliving his parents and brother, which that part still confuses me, like, what did they ever do to him? He defended his own brother, but whatever. Before disappearing into the night, he uttered his now infamous catchphrase,
"Go to sleep."
This is a notorious internet creepypasta about a mysterious and supposedly cursed YouTube video. According to the legend, the video starts off innocently enough. It's just a silent, low-quality clip of a man staring blankly into the camera. But as the seconds tick by, his expression slowly turns from neutral to a sinister, unsettling smile. The man's eyes seem to have darkened, and the feeling of dread grows with every passing moment. The real horror of the story comes from what's said to have happened to those who watched the full, unedited version of the video. The creepypasta claims that after YouTube uploaded the video, users began reporting disturbing experiences. Some went insane, others gouged their eyes out and mailed them to YouTube, and some even disappeared without a trace after watching. In response, YouTube supposedly took down the original video after only 153 people have viewed it, leaving behind only a few seconds as a teaser, enough to scare off the curious, but not enough to cause harm. The legend grows with tales of YouTube employees who were assigned to watch the video to determine what was wrong with it. According to the story, some of those employees were so traumatized with what they saw that they quit their jobs or were driven to madness. The mere mention of said pasta is enough to send shivers down the spines of those who know the tale. The video's thumbnail showing the man's unsettling smile and piercing eyes is said to be all that remains. Of course, there's no evidence that any of this is true. The video itself was a simple, creepy art project, and most of the details were invented by the creepypasta community. But the story taps into deep internet fears, haunted media, forbidden knowledge, and the idea that something as innocent as a YouTube link could lead to a real-life horror. To this day, this story stands as a chilling reminder that sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that feel like they could be just a click away. Siren Head is one of the most recognizable and eerie monsters that come out of the internet horror in recent years. Created by Canadian artist Trevor Henderson in 2018, Siren Head is a towering, emaciated humanoid creature standing over 40 feet tall with dried mummified skin that clings tightly to its skeletal frame. Its most distinctive feature is its head. Instead of a face, Siren Head has two rusty old-fashioned air raid sirens attached to its neck, each capable of emitting strange noises, distorted voices, and garbled radio signals. Stories and sightings of Siren Head quickly spread across social media and creepypasta communities. The creature is often described as blending in with trees or utility poles, standing motionless until it comes to life. Victims usually first notice bizarre looping broadcasts or fragments of emergency warnings echoing throughout the woods, only to realize too late that the sound is coming from the sirens themselves. Siren Head is said to be able to mimic voices and sounds, luring people deeper into the wilderness or confusing them with the voices of friends and loved ones. So he's kind of like a skinwalker. Got it. Encounters with Siren Head are almost always fatal. The creature is described as both stealthy and relentless, able to move silently despite its massive size, and its attacks are often brutal and quick. Some tales claim that Siren Head is ancient, possibly even older than humanity itself, and that it has appeared in different places and times throughout history. Its motives are never fully explained, adding to its otherworldly terror. Siren Head's popularity exploded thanks to fan art, indie video games, and viral online stories. Unlike older creepypasta icons, Siren Head's origin is clear. Trevor's artwork. But the community quickly adopted the monster, adding new lore, stories, and sightings almost daily. Siren Head has become a favorite subject for horror games, short films, and memes, standing alongside Slender Man and The Rake as a modern legend of internet horror. What makes Siren Head so efficient is its blend of the familiar and the bizarre. The everyday look of emergency sirens twisted into something impossibly monstrous. It's a creature that feels like it could be lurking at the edge of the woods, waiting for the next lost traveler to make a mistake of its call for a cry for help. Siren Head's haunting image and the chilling stories that surround it have cemented its place as a new icon in the world of creepypasta and digital folklore. Smile Dog is one of the earliest and most infamous legends from the world of creepypasta, playing on the fear of cursed images and the dark side of internet culture. The central story revolves around a mysterious image file called Smile Dog JPEG that circulates online, rumored to drive anyone who views it to insanity, nightmares, and even self-harm. The image itself is described as a grainy, low-quality photo showing a dog, often identified as a Siberian Husky, sitting in a dimly lit room. But what makes the image so disturbing is the dog's face. Its mouth is stretched into an unnatural human-like grin, and its eyes are wide and menacing. Sometimes a human hand is visible, reaching out from the darkness behind the dog, adding to the sense of unease. The most unsettling detail is the sense that the dog is staring directly at the viewer, almost daring them to look away. The creepypasta is told from the perspective of a writer who was contacted by a woman named Mary E., who claims to have received a Smile Dog JPEG file years ago. Mary describes how the image haunted her dreams, filling them with visions of the grinning dog and the chilling phrase, "Spread the word." She confessed that her life fell apart. Her marriage collapsed, her mental health declined, and she struggled with the urge to share the image with others, believing that doing so was the only way to escape its curse. As the narrator investigates further, they begin to receive threatening emails and experience disturbing dreams themselves. The story builds to a tense conclusion. The only way to break Smile Dog's curse is to quote-unquote spread the word by sharing the image with someone else, passing the burden on like a digital chain letter. The tale ends on an ambiguous note, with the narrator left to decide whether to protect themselves or risk dooming another innocent person. Smile Dog's legend has endured for years, with countless fan edits, supposed sightings of the image, and even viral hoaxes where people warn each other not to search for Smile Dog JPEG. The story taps into fear about the uncontrollable nature of the internet, the anxiety that something as simple as a picture could ruin your life, and the chilling idea that some curses can only be escaped by sacrificing someone else. Today, Smile Dog remains one of the most iconic and unsettling creepypastas. A warning to think twice before opening strange files or clicking on mysterious links. Tiki Toby is a well-known character in the creepypasta universe, especially among fans of the Slender Man mythos. Created in 2010, Tiki Toby's story is one of pain, trauma, and a descent into madness that leads him to become one of Slender Man's infamous proxies. Toby's real name is Tobias Aaron Rogers, and his life is marked by tragedy and hardship from a young age. He suffers from congenital disorders, Tourette syndrome, which causes involuntary movements and vocal tics, and SEPA, meaning he cannot feel physical pain. His home life is a nightmare due to the abusive father in a tragic car accident that claimed the life of his beloved older sister, Lyra. This trauma destroys what little stability Toby had, leaving him isolated, bullied at school, and unable to cope with his grief and guilt. As Toby's mental health deteriorates, he begins experiencing violent outbursts, hallucinations, and eventually a growing obsession with the idea of ending his own suffering. He starts to hear the voice of Slender Man, who becomes a sinister presence in his life. Slender Man manipulates Toby's fragile mind, luring him away from his broken home. One night, Toby finally snaps, unaliving his abusive father, and flees into the woods, where Slender Man adopts him as a proxy, turning him into a tool to carry out his gruesome bidding. Tiki Toby is known for his distinctive appearance: messy brown hair, pale skin, a mouth that's usually covered with a mouth guard, and a habit of wearing goggles and a brown hoodie. He carries hatchets as his weapon of choice and is often seen with a magic grin or a twitchy, unpredictable demeanor, hence his nickname. In the broader creepypasta world, Tiki Toby is seen as both a victim and a villain, his backstory making him one of the more complex and sympathetic proxies in the Slender Man universe. His story has inspired countless pieces of fan art, cosplay, and even short films. Tiki Toby stands out not just for his brutality, but for the tragic circumstances that shaped him, making him a memorable and enduring figure in internet horror. Whether you see him as a monster or as another casualty of Slender Man's manipulations, Tiki Toby's tale is a haunting reminder of how trauma and isolation can lead people down dark and dangerous paths. And speaking of Slender Man, the Slender Man is one of the most legendary and instantly recognizable figures in all of internet horror. He first appeared in 2009 on the Something Awful forums as part of a contest to make paranormal images. Slender Man's look is iconic. He's unnaturally tall and thin, with impossibly long arms, dressed in a black suit and tie, and, most disturbingly, he has no face. Just smooth, pale skin where his features should be. Sometimes he's depicted with shadowy tentacles or even extra limbs extending from his back. The core of the Slender Man myth is that he stalks, abducts, and traumatizes children. He's often said to live in the woods or appear at the edge of playgrounds and neighborhoods, silently watching or slowly approaching. People who see him are plagued by paranoia, nightmares, memory loss, and the feeling of being watched. Some stories say that Slender Man can manipulate minds or drive people to madness, and that he selects certain individuals as his proxies, people who do his bidding, often against their will, just like Tiki Toby. Slender Man's popularity exploded online, quickly spreading from the first photographed images to stories, fan art, and even found footage websites like Marble Hornets, which turned the myth into a sprawling internet saga. He inspired indie horror games, notably Slender, the 8 Pages, which became a viral sensation, as well as movies, cosplay, and endless memes. The legend even crossed over into the real world in a tragic way in 2014, when 2 girls in Wisconsin attacked a classmate, claiming they wanted to appease Slender Man. This incident brought national attention to the creepypasta and raised questions about the power of online myths. I remember hearing about that story. That was horrible. What keeps Slender Man so scary and enduring is his mystery. His featurelessness, silent, and his motives are never clear. He's the embodiment of the unknown. He can appear anywhere, at any time, and there's no clear way to escape him. As a modern monster, Slender Man taps into our primal fear of being watched and hunted by something we can't understand. He's a digital age boogeyman, and as long as people tell scary stories online, Slender Man will always be lurking in the shadows, faceless, patient, and impossible to forget. Username 666 is a classic internet urban legend and creepypasta that plays on the fear of cursed websites and haunted internet experiences. The story centers around a mysterious and supposedly cursed YouTube channel with the username 666. According to the legend, if you search for this channel or try to visit youtube.com/666, strange and terrifying things would happen to your computer and your mind. The tale usually begins with someone hearing about the infamous channel and deciding to check it out for themselves. At first, YouTube claims the channel doesn't exist or has been suspended, but the persistent, or unlucky, user tries reloading the page or manipulating the URL. Suddenly, the familiar YouTube interface starts to glitch. The colors distort, buttons melt or move on their own, and unsettling, disturbing videos start to play automatically, often featuring violent, gory, or downright nightmarish imagery. In the most detailed versions of the creepypasta, the user is unable to close the browser or escape the page. The channel seems alive, actively trapping them as the site becomes more and more corrupted. Eventually, the screen fills with blood-red static, demonic faces, and cryptic messages. Sometimes the unlucky viewer receives a final, chilling message from 666 before their computer crashes, reboots, or never works again. The implication is clear. Messing with username 666 opens a doorway to something evil on the internet itself. Of course, in reality, no such channel ever existed. The story is a mixture of viral videos, photoshopped screenshots, and digital folklore. But it taps into a very real fear that the internet, for all of its familiarity, might be hiding something dangerous just out of sight, and that curiosity can sometimes lead you somewhere you really don't want to go. And a warning to think twice before chasing down internet legends that promise more than you bargained for. And with that, my list of top 10 favorite creepypastas has been completed. What are some of y'all's favorite creepypastas? Comment them down below. And while you're there, please hit the subscribe button. That way, you'll be notified when I post more videos like this. And remember guys, these are my personal favorites. You might have your own that are completely different from what I've listed. New video coming soon. Thank you guys again, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!